Andy, as you peer forward into the future, how has the future changed for the field of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that, we look at every day at Faraday is just, how much of life has become and will remain mediated by the digital experience. The CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, said that, we all experienced 2 years of digital transformation in 2 months. And that's really true. And I'll give you an example from our world. So, our clients are brands like Rothy's and Burrow and Ritual, and these are digitally native companies, have been around for a while, but not too long. And they're thriving in this new world. This is what they were built for. They didn't know it at the time, but they were made for a world like this right now. But the reality is, even now with all those big names, most brands are not like them. Instead of being Rothy's, let's say you're a shoe store owner in, a metropolitan region. Let's say you've got 5 or 6 stores. Somebody comes into your store, let's say back in January, you can see him or her walk by certain sections directly towards another. Maybe they're really getting into athletic shoes or something like that. You can just tell what people are wanting, what they're interested in. You can tell how to talk to them, how to entice them to, sell something to them. And with all the stores closed, you can't do that anymore, right? So you have all of these, brick and mortar operations that have been successful for a long time, but have decided overnight that they have to go online to stay alive. And they don't have that luxury anymore of seeing people walk through their store and be interested in things and not interested in other things. So what, the world needs to do, the world of commerce, is start to understand and read digital body language. And, this has gone from a psychology exercise to numerical data, unstructured data, massive amounts of information that you can only really process algorithmically. And so, you could say that prediction has always been part of the sales experience. Somebody's interacting with your brand in a certain way. So you as a person are able to predict what they're going to be interested in. But, especially now, prediction is certainly the future. It's the only way I can imagine brands starting, old brands continuing to thrive with any hope of growth is, through prediction, the ability to take massive amounts of this data and make concrete decisions and do optimal actions based on it. So, obviously it has a huge impact on our space. We work with consumer brands every day, helping them to do just this. We're working with, some very old brands. Cabot Dairy is one here in Vermont that we work with, served in the Middlebury dining halls. And, they're trying to figure out this world. They're doing a great job at it. But a part of that is because they're able to recognize the need for prediction, data, algorithmic decision-making, math and statistics, and put that to work very quickly.
How do you see the competitive landscape shaping up, given if we stick with the theme that the employees anywhere in terms of the technology and use of the technology, how would you envision the competitive landscape changing for organizations that are focusing on in the field that you're in?
It's a good question. I mean, there's been such a tectonic change that, obviously there's a lot more attention to, digital marketing world. All these brands I just talked about, this regional shoe chain, they're an online merchant now. They never set out to be an e-commerce operation, but they are. So in some sense, the demand has really grown. I worry about how it happened overnight. Typically, when there's a long-term evolutionary change in a space like ours, there's plenty of time for new startups, new thinkers, new ideas, new technologies to gradually emerge, compete against each other, and for the best ones to win. And that process never ends, right? It goes on forever. I do worry that with such a massive influx and such an overnight need, there has been probably a lot of convergence and concentration on a relatively small number of technology stacks that already existed back in February. And it actually makes Faraday's life easier, right? It's just a smaller surface area for us to, integrate with and push our predictions into. But ultimately, I do wonder about our industry's ability to continue to diversify and change and, thrive through that change. So we'll see.
I just wonder, for most of us who aren't steeped in the AI and predictive modeling fields, we're probably some things that are common day in the way of predictive possibilities and capabilities we're unaware of. So I wonder if you just comment, if you can, just what's kind of commonplace, understood, if you will, within the business of your capability to be predictive. And then what I'd like you to do is just play a little with me and let your mind wander forward. Given current trajectory of capability from predictive modeling, what would you say might be on its surface for us, the outrageous possibility for the future that from your perspective, maybe it's not so outrageous?
Oh boy. That's a good question, Jeffrey. I mean, my mind immediately goes to the thing that we work against every day at Faraday, which is a kind of dystopian future where algorithmic prejudice is funneling everybody into their predestined, places from the moment they're born. That obviously is the worst case scenario. It is also the most technologically obvious place for everything to go. And it's a hard effort that everybody in our space needs to constantly be vigilant on. I think that, the reality is going to be quite a bit more innocuous. As somebody who works with this stuff every day, one of the things you come to learn is just how terribly dumb the algorithms and technology behind all of this fancy prediction really is. It's not magic. These are, in many cases, decades old, extremely simple mechanical algorithms that just happen very, very quickly, so it seems like magic. But, Jeffrey, it's really very much the same as, the salesperson in the regional shoe store who sees somebody drive up in a luxury car and then walk in with a kid. Now you've got two data points about this person. And we have just, maybe the salesperson over time has found that people like that tend to gravitate toward a certain part of the store. And so they could just help point that out for them a little more quickly. That's exactly what these algorithms are doing. It's just, it's doing it at an enormous scale and very, very quickly. So in a sense, it's really the same methodologies and practices that, brands have used forever from the times of, the outdoor marketplaces, but we're just getting we're able to do them much more quickly, and I think crucially, at least in this moment, so we're able to do them digitally. We're able to observe what people need and how they behave without having them in your store, so to speak.